Alrighty, it's time to be stupid and to get a nuke. Oh, and also to talk about the T32 US heavy tank. Greetings ladies and gentlemen, I'm Narsgil and I welcome you to the next video, which is beginning with a tank sandwich. But let's not waste time with that, because someone is capturing our left capture point of the 38th parallel. And because this is a stupid gameplay, and because I know that it is something fast and it won't likely be able to kill me, I just go straight in. Like a true American, I strafe him with my 50 cal and then finish him with my 90mm cannon. That's my first kill out of many, and also a secured capture point for our team. Now looking onto the minimap, I can see that our tanks are moving towards B, and my duty now is to kill any enemy that would be coming from their spawn, to recapture A or clash with my teammates on B. First tank I see is the IS-3, which is almost impossible for me to penetrate. However, I want you to pay attention to my machine gun fire, because that machine gun fire actually secures me nuke in the end. Because you get a spawn points for every hit and every even minor damage you do to the enemy tanks. And while you watch the immovable object meet the unstoppable force, let's talk about the T32. Historically, during the final chapters of World War II, the United States sought to create a new line of heavy armored and powerful tanks to counter the German Tigers and King Tigers. And one of those attempts was the T32 heavy tank. The project itself began in 1945, which is honestly pretty crazy to think, and only 4 prototypes were produced. And even though the prototype T32 were deemed worthy, as they were well armored and their 90mm cannon was a great improvement from the standard Pershing gun, the war in Europe ended and there was no longer need for a US heavy tank, as they only needed to finish their war against the Japanese, and well, you don't really need a heavy T-32 tank to roll out on the beaches of Iwo Jima. The Soviets at the time definitely pose a threat. However, the US army was to be withdrawn from Europe soon after the World War II ended, and they kinda let France and Britain to deal with that problem. Well, at least what considers the ground theater, because as we all know, the US focused heavily on the aircrafts after the Second World War and onwards. In conclusion, the T-32 heavy tank project was a success that came a bit too late to hunt the Tigers in Europe. In War Thunder, the T-32 is an excellent heavy tank, especially if you face 7.3 opponents. And it's also one of the rare heavy tanks where you can actually rely on its armor. It has an insanely strong turret, so if you hold down, you are basically immortal, unless you get hit by some lucky HE shell. Your hull also has a strong armor, however you have that one big weak spot there. But you know, if you are a pay-to-win player, just buy some bushes and put it there. And if not, if you wiggle, a lot of the enemies can't shoot you there precisely either way, so it's fine. What concerns the cannon, it has a fairly good penetration, so you can deal with most of the tanks, apart from maybe some Soviet heavy tanks. One thing that pulls this tank down is its reload rate, as it's around 15 seconds. So you can't really brawl effectively, and you should be careful to not get overrun by the enemies. Overall, this tank is really fun to play, and it actually feels like you are playing an actual heavy tank. And now back to the gameplay. You could see that armor of mine in action when I took quite a lot of shells in my turret actually, and survived them fairly well. You could also see my cannon in action when I one-tapped that Soviet medium tanks, because the round you are using, the APC-BC, has around 140 grams of explosive filler, and that is more than enough to one-shot any enemy you look at. And with all those skills, and mainly all those hits I got, I'm close to a nuke, so I push towards their spawn to secure my victory. I should also mention that if you want to guard the way that leads from their spawn, you shouldn't actually wait in the place where the enemies will be coming to. You should be waiting for them in the sides, as I was hiding behind those rocks earlier. That way you can surprise them and get much easier kills for you. And now, with this final 9th kill, I secured my nuke, and that is a win for us. This definitely wasn't some heroic feat of mine, but you know, I did what heavy tanks should do. I pushed forward, took shots, made shots, and got 9 kills, and we won. This is, after all, the most braindead nuke gameplay. Bye!